morning, Mr. Bland.
Good
Happy
morning.
Saturday.
It is Saturday. I
It's
can
Saturday.
confirm.
Saturday morning. I've got my cup of coffee.
I've already boxed mine off.
Have you?
I have.
Do you grind your own beans, or do you just?
No, little Starbucks pods into the Nespresso machine.
Oh, okay.
Into me well-worn Starbucks cup.
Nice. What
Big upgrade, I think.
what top have you got on there? Pittsburgh Steelers.
Deontay Johnson, number 18,
Oh,
obviously.
is that real or fake?
This is genuinely from China.
They almost from China, aren't they? They all originated from there anyway. Probably the same factory.
Yeah,
anyway.
it just depends which door it comes out of, the front door or the back door.
You'd be pleased to know I've got a t-shirt underneath my dressing gown. Bill's t-shirt.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Go on.
Quite fittingly, tomorrow is the Bills against the Steelers as well.
We didn't even plan that, did we?
We did not know. That's just fate.
Fate's decided.
Yeah.
First things first, it probably won't take us long. Thursday night recap.
Yes, there was a game on Thursday night. We can move on.
No. Let me to control this.
For anybody who likes field goals, it was porn. For anybody who likes anything else, it was not.
Yeah, but one thing I did want to point out is we highlighted in one of our YouTube shorts last week that
Yes,
Alec Pierce might have been worth a pickup.
yeah.
I got him on waiver wires in our redraft league, and we also picked him up in the fantasy front office league.
I noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't.
We do also have Pittman, don't we, in that league as well?
Yeah, but I just got excited.
Yeah.
I think you were on the chopper at the time, so you were on the chopper from the oil rig to the mainland. So yeah. I just had to make the decision. I'm sorry about
that. Yeah. Well, we're in that league. We're probably going to have to look at an upgrade at one of our running back spots at some point. So having the two of them probably gives us a little bit of ammunition for trade further down the line.
Yeah. But he had a decent day. 16.1 fantasy points, 9 targets, 8 receptions.
Yeah, and what we pointed out previously was that his targets per route run had been quite high, but his snaps had been low. So if his snaps increased and his targets per route run stayed healthy, then then he'd have a decent day, and that's what happens. He was up to 60% snaps, but he actually ran a route on 75% of dropbacks. So he's probably might be a ceiling game as wise as targets and things for him, but obviously touchdowns can still bump up that box score.
Yeah,
because the Colts drop back, I think nearly 50 times. Ideally, in an ideal world, they'd only be doing that with Matt Ryan. But no, it was encouraging to see, and there still is a little bit of room for growth as well.
Yeah. Do you think his share will continue to grow then?
I certainly think his playing time will continue to grow.
Yeah.
Pittman did see a lot of Pat Satan, but it was interesting that when Pierce started producing, that they actually they switched and they put Satan on Pierce. They moved him off Pittman. So within the game, the Broncos started showing him some respect. So it's good for the pair of them moving forward.
I'm not sure what I thought you had a fumble, but was that
he had a fumble, but he didn't lose it.
Ah, right. So if it's recovered,
Paris
it
Campbell
doesn't log.
recovered.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Paris Campbell recovered it. So yes, he did have a fumble, but it wasn't a lost fumble. It doesn't have to be him that recovers it; just has to be his team.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I started Naheem Hines in my redraft league mainly because obviously he's
I've
going to be
not.
the lead back, wasn't he? And I know you weren't a big fan, but I thought lead back, and then some of my other players are a bit borderline. I was like, oh, I'm just going to play him, and then he got concussed in the first drive.
Yeah.
Not good.
That was nasty what happened to him. I mean, you saw him when he tried to get up; his legs were completely gone underneath him.
Yeah.
So just hope he's all right.
Yeah. Onto the Broncos. So I
Doesn't
noticed.
help your fantasy. I mean, it doesn't help your team, but
Yeah, not a great start, is it?
no.
Yeah, onto the Broncos. Anyone who took, I didn't take a risk on Mike Boone. I didn't put any fab in for him or anything, but he's done all right, hasn't he? The only thing is
Yeah, I
if
let I
Latavius
let
Murray comes.
waivers run in a couple of leagues. Yeah. So I let waivers run in a couple of leagues, and if he hadn't been picked up, then I just picked him up as a free agent. But yeah, you don't know what's going to happen with Murray. Gordon looked all right. He just about didn't fumble. Looked like he might have had one, but just about kept hold of the ball. Boone was good in the receiving game, which is not really something that's going to. Latavius Murray's not going to affect anybody in the receiving game. So that's encouraging for Boone that he might still keep hold of that role moving forward for whatever it's worth. But yeah, it's just something that you're just going to have to keep an eye on week to week.
Yeah.
If anyone's holding on to Albert Orr still, he can be dropped. He only played 20% of the snaps. That's going. The previous week he only played, I think it was one snap the previous week. So this, for whatever reason, the Broncos staff don't want to use him. They'd much rather throw to some guy called Eric Saubert.
Okay, so just for clarity, who was that? Albert
Orr.
Albert Orr.
Just Albert Orr. That'll do. Okay, Wubenham. That's what you wanted me to say, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He can. I mean, this new regime, they drafted Greg Dulcich, who is eligible to come off IR now, and he's a very good receiving tight end. So I can see him once he'll have it. I can see him playing Albert Orr being a healthy scratch, and then Greg Dulcich should definitely be someone to keep an eye on, because they can't continue throwing the ball. There's someone called Eric Saubert.
Yeah.
I don't know where Eric Saubert is, but they can't keep throwing the ball at him.
And then last but not least, I mean, both of them were terrible, weren't they? Matt Ryan and Russell.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan's been washed for a good few years. His arm's completely shot to pieces.
Poor lad got sacked 6 times. Look.
Yeah, and well, sacks are as much a quarterback stat as they are an online stat as well. I mean, he's got zero mobility. He's got no arm. Yeah, he's just. He's not someone that I've been interested in for the last few years from a fantasy perspective, and now from a real life football perspective, it's just rancid.
Yeah. Anything else on the Thursday night? I think we actually fleshed that out more than I thought we would, to be honest.
We've spent
After
at
what
least
happened.
5 minutes too long on it.
we've spent at least precisely 7 minutes on it. We've spent 6.5 minutes too long on it.
Yeah. Let's quickly move on.
Right. Back to the the London game first.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Wait there. Let me change my. Sunday starts and sits.
All right, you will.
Right, anyone likely to miss out on the listed Sterling Shepherds? All right, so you explain this then. What's this grade crack about then? Is this the chance of them playing?
That's a PFF grade.
What
Yeah,
chance to play?
How good PFF grade them to be? No,
What, in
just how
terms
good
of
they are.
injury or how good they are?
So no, as a player, in terms of a player.
Okay.
So obviously you can see, like Leonard Williams. Anybody knows that Leonard Williams is a good interior defender.
Yeah.
So obviously he's going to be a big miss, especially in the running game, which is how this game is going to be very slow, pretty boring, low scoring, and it's just going to consist of the Giants running a lot and the Packers running a lot, and Rodgers picking his spot through the air to pick off the Giants. It'll finish 17-10 or something like that.
So I've noticed, obviously, Sterling Shepard's out. Kadarius Toney.
Yeah. He never travels.
Is this a genuine injury then, or?
Yeah. So he now has an injury to both hamstrings. So he had a gammy hamstring that's kept him out the last couple of weeks, and he's got that one healthy, and then his other hamstring's gone. So it doesn't look like it's going to happen for Toney, which is unfortunate because there's tons of opportunity there for someone as talented as him.
So who does this
Kenny
leave then?
Galladay's leg.
Obviously, Richie James. I took a chance on Richie James last week. I'm not doing it again.
Yeah, they're just the drop back 22 times, I think. So if it's any consolation, he was the leader in target share for the Giants last week, but he only saw 3 targets. That tells you how bad it was. But yes,
I mean, he's got fantastic hair.
This is just going to be a run fest, eh?
He's got fantastic hair. I think to myself, I can't take the risk again. And I look at his hair and I think, can I?
No, you don't want to play him. But, the Packers invite teams to run them, so the Giants will have some success on the ground, but the Packers are good through the air. And,
obviously the main man at the minute. I mean, he's
wide receiver,
smashing it at the minute, and he's Saquon.
Yeah. You start him and that's it. You don't think twice about it.
No.
So I'm a bit. The Giants are +8 on the handicap, and I do have it in consideration.
The Giants are +8.
The Patriots. Yeah. Last week I took the Patriots +9.5, just because I don't think this Packers offense at the moment is good enough to really blow any team out. I just wish that the Giants had something in the passing game on the other side to keep in touch with them, kind of thing. But we'll see. It's one that's under consideration. You can play Romeo Dobbs, by the way. Yeah, you can play Romeo Dobbs. You can probably start him every week as a wide receiver, 3 wide 4.
Okay.
Good player. Yeah. People like Alan Lazard. Alan Lazard will pop up every now and again. He had a decent week last week. But Dobbs is the main man.
What's the current situation with Watson?
It's funny because to start the year, he had quite a bit of playing time, but didn't see much of the ball. And each week, as each week's gone on, his playing time's reduced, but his involvement has gone up. So they're just finding little ways to get in the ball. Obviously, he had a rushing touchdown. Was it last week, week before? I can't remember. And there was a couple last week where there were little pop passes, little tap passes. So they're just trying to get the ball in his hands, but they're not doing it in a way of as you would a wide receiver. He's not out running routes, and the tackling that way really. So they're just trying to build his confidence up, get him acclimatized, and see if he can develop.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a slow process. Yeah, it's going to be a slow process. But if you've got a spare bench spot, and you can afford to stash him, give him 4-6. If you can afford to stash him for 4 to 6 weeks,
Yeah.
and see how his development's going, then yeah, by all means, because there's definitely upside there. But whether it's this year or 3 years down the line,
Yeah.
don't know. It all depends how quickly he develops.
6'5", eh?
Yeah, he's a decent size.
Yeah, big lad, yeah.
It's decent size. Yeah, just raw. Just very raw.
Yeah. I remember the first week, obviously, it wasn't a great start, was it? He was like, well, it was going to be a touchdown, wasn't it? And he just went straight through his hands.
Yeah, this is good. Yeah. So that, like I say, he played a lot to start with, and then they've cut his playing time week over week. But when he has been on the pitch, they've made a purpose of getting him involved, but just in kind of unconventional ways. I think it's just a confidence thing, a development thing.
Yeah. So, in terms of so like you say, you're thinking about taking the Giants at +8.
Yeah, +8 or under 41. If I was having a bet, it would be either of those two, but I haven't fully decided yet.
Okay. Next one, Steelers.
Yeah, so Kenny Pickett's going to make his debut.
Come on, Kenny.
I mean, it's a horrendous spot to be making your debut in. I don't think the weather's good. To be honest, I want nothing to do with this game.
Right, okay.
We have Pat Freiermuth in our fantasy front office league. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I benched him this week. I put him on the bench, and we're going to play Zach Ertz instead.
Really?
I've got leagues where I've got Deontay Johnson in, and I'm benching him as well if I can afford to.
Right. So
I think
let's
talk
Steelers first. Let's talk Steelers first. So when Kenny came in last week, he was getting a bit of stick on the WhatsApp group and whatever else. I didn't mind it. I thought he was all right. Don't get me wrong. He was obviously a bit shaky, but
look, he threw three interceptions.
Yeah,
he threw 3 interceptions. One was a Hail Mary. So
you scratched that off. It was just like the last second.
One got tipped. Freiermuth tipped one. That got picked off. And the first one was a shot to Claypool, where Claypool could have made more of an effort to get back to the ball. So, PFF have a metric called turnover worthy plays, which basically it's a throw from a quarterback that is worthy of a turnover or not, basically. And he had 3 interceptions last week, and none of them were deemed to be turnover worthy plays. Right. Basically, what they're saying is, if the ball had fell another way, then the receiver catches it or it goes incomplete. There weren't egregious throws.
Yeah.
So
for me, it certainly seemed to spark something rather than
good thing. Well, Trubisky was thrown at it was like 5 yards an attempt. So basically, the ball's barely getting past the line of scrimmage. And Pickett's come in, and he was thrown at something like 13 odd yards per attempt, which is unsustainable. You can't sustain that kind of rate. But what it did show was that he's got a willingness to throw downfield, which is what the Steelers have wanted. Was to have a quarterback that could throw downfield. That's what the challenge Trubisky in evidence why he got benched. So there were definitely encouraging signs, but in a weather game against the Bills defense, I'd rather sit them than start them if I had viable alternatives.
Yeah. Yeah, and this I've got Pickens in the redraft league, and it was kind of one of the reasons I played Hines as well. Because even though Pickens had a good week last week, especially when Pickett come in, I think he scored around 16 points last week.
He did,
Pickens. But again, that's what you said. Just that, just the game. It's not great, is it?
No, it's not. It's not.
For the Bills, do you have any update on McKenzie? What does it say on here? He went off with concussion last week, didn't he? I'm not sure if.
Yeah, so no, he's back at practice.
Yeah, he had the
Thursday.
No contact, wasn't it, on Thursday? He had the red jersey on, I think.
Friday, I believe he shed that.
Right. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, Friday though, I think he got rid of that, but I still believe he's listed as questionable. So we'll just have to wait and see. But it's an early game, so you'll know by the time you have to make lineup decisions.
Yeah. What's happened with Crowder?
He broke his ankle.
Is it broke? Is it?
Yeah, he broke his ankle, so he's going to be out for a while.
Right. So obviously that's good news. It's not good news for Crowder, obviously, but it's good news for McKenzie owners. And why am I thinking about it? I don't know if I can get him here. What's he called? Shakir. What was he?
Khalil Shakir. Yeah.
That's him. There he is.
Yeah.
So is he worth a little
Shakir?
Shakir.
No.
You don't think he's worth a look? Well, this is when McKenzie went off last week, he got a couple of receptions, you know.
Yeah.
This must have been last week. This stat line here.
Yeah. He'll have come in, but if McKenzie's going to play, and I would imagine he's going to be a full-time player as well. Shakir's definitely someone you can stash.
McKenzie's going to be the boy in that role, isn't it? But if anything happens to McKenzie, this guy's going to be.
He is now. Crowder's out. Yeah.
I think I've got him in one of the dynasty leagues. I think.
Yeah. You can. He's certainly someone you can stash, but you probably don't want to. If you've only got shallow benches, it's probably not someone you need to stash at the minute. But in Dynasty, definitely, yeah. The problem is he's a 5th round pick. You know, Gabe Davis was a 5th round pick, and it's took him 3 years to convince the Bills staff that he should be a full-time player.
Yeah.
So, you know, especially if someone like Jake Kummerow comes back, then they can push Diggs into the slot and have Kummerow and Davis on the outside, in 3 wide receiver sets. They won't be forced into playing Shakir full time, you know.
Yeah. So the Bills -9. What's that? How does that work?
14.
Right. So how does this work on this graph then? What's that? Money line. Oh, there you go. There's the spread line, isn't it? That's it there.
Money is that's what the Bills. No, that's your money line there. That's basically the Bills are 10-1 on.
Right.
So there's your spread. There's your spread there. So yeah, it's, minus 14, minus 14.5. So 2 touchdowns. It's stay away from me.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in playing lines that wide at the minute. Still too early in the year.
Next one, we'll go on to Chargers and Browns.
Yeah. This is under consideration for a bet. This game.
Yeah.
Yeah, Browns. Browns at home getting 2 points. I think it'll be a close game. The Browns can keep it close because they can run on the Chargers and the Chargers can't stop them. You know, you saw David Pierce last week absolutely run all over the Chargers.
Yeah.
You know, and like as much as we like Pierce, Nick Chubb is the best pure rusher in the NFL.
Yeah.
So he could have an absolute field day here. I think again, it's a game that can be pretty close. Keenan Allen's out. Keenan Allen out. Josh Palmer's questionable. So they don't have a great deal going for him outside Mike Williams and Eckler in the passing game.
Yeah.
They can't really run the ball, the Chargers. So I think the Browns can keep this close with Nick Chubb on the ground and 2.5 points there, the spread. Home, home favourite, or home underdog, sorry, against a West Coast team for an early kickoff. Yeah, I think that the Browns certainly warrant consideration as a bet here.
Yeah.
What's the over under? Yeah, it's quite high as well.
What's you
40,
possibly go under then?
47. No, possibly go over. Like these two played last year in LA, didn't they? And did they put up over 70 points, I think.
Right.
And again, it was a similar type of game when Nick Chubb ran all over him, and it forces the Chargers to keep up with them. Add the Browns to my list for considerations.
Get it wrote down. Everett's been doing all right, hasn't he? Your mate, Gerald.
Yeah, he's grand. Yeah, he's been filming. He's been filming pretty decently in the passing game for Keenan Allen missing. So, if you've got him, both tight ends in this game, if you have them, you start them. You probably don't have any better options. So yeah, no, you definitely start them if you've got them. And Joku's the same. Clowney there is questionable. I think I'm not sure he's going to play.
Yeah. It said on the 2 seconds. Questionable. Yeah.
Yeah, but Miles Garrett is off the injury report, so he definitely plays. The Rashawn Slater is out for the year, Chargers left tackle. So they had the choice between Storm Norton, who is probably the worst left tackle in the league, or a 5th or 6th round rookie. And last week they went with a rookie. But either it doesn't really matter last week because we're playing the Texans and the Texans can't get any pressure at all. Playing up against Myles Garrett this week's going to be a totally different story.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just that's another reason as to why Cleveland home underdogs appeals.
Okay. Bears Vikings. JJ had a much better week last week. Thank God.
Yeah, I mean, good players do that, don't they?
So Vikings heavy favourites again, eh?
Yeah, and the Bears are going to suck them into a slow game. The Bears are just going to try and run as much as they possibly can. And yeah, it's going to be pretty boring. You start Dalvin Cook, you start Justin Jefferson, you start Khalil Herbert. And to be honest, you probably don't want to be starting anybody else because you're gonna end up in a similar game to what happened with the Giants last week, where it was pretty rancid.
Yeah.
That game. So yeah, unless the Vikings really want to make a statement and just chuck the ball about the place and try and run the score up as much as they can.
Yeah.
Which at the moment so far this year they haven't, they haven't shown that they want to do that.
Yeah.
Then you probably don't want to be starting anybody outside of Jefferson and Cook.
Yeah. Yeah, KJ Osborne I don't know if it was a duck egg last week, but it wasn't good, was it?
No, it was quite unfortunate because he had a touchdown call back by a pass interference play from Jefferson, and then Jefferson, I think, did Jefferson score? No, Mattison scored the play after.
Yeah.
So it was kind of unlucky in that way. But again, like the Vikings, their very best to try and lose that game last week.
Yeah.
That's why I don't think that they're just going to keep the foot on the pedal and try and blow the Bears away.
Yeah.
I think
Cousins
they'll get conservative and run Cook. Yeah, it could be pretty rancid.
Cousins is getting more and more annoying. He just fucking annoys me more and more every week.
Well, he's not good though, is he?
No.
So
in terms of the Bears, so it was a better week for Mooney last week.
Yeah, he caught a pass too.
Yeah, it was. He didn't have to do much to get better, did he? Really?
No, he did not.
But it's another frustrating one with Mooney. I think he's obviously very talented, isn't it? But he's just not getting the.
Yeah, no, you can't start. So
no,
he's going to be one of these ones. He's going to be one of these players that you put in on bye weeks, and you cross your fingers and pray.
So is Monty going to be back then?
Don't think he is he?
I don't know. He's got him in now. What's it say on the summary? Questionable, so I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but he's got him in the starting lineup there. But
yeah, they just put if they're available, they put the starters in. Yeah, I think he still sits another week.
So in terms of the Bears,
put it this way. Well, if Herbert, if Monty was out and Herbert was in, then I would play Herbert.
Yeah.
If Monty was active, then I'd play neither.
Yeah. Because if he is going to play, he probably gets a few snaps here and there, and he into Herbert's.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely not good enough to support too. So.
Yeah. Right, let's move on.
Yeah.
Lions, Patriots.
Right, this is a bet.
I should have been writing these down, shouldn't I? So I can put my hacker on straight after.
This is a bet. The People's Detroit Lions plus 3.5 is the bet, Anthony.
They're just same old Lions, isn't it? They just always seem to fucking throw it away or make things hard for themselves, don't they?
Yeah. I think what we'll see here, as opposed to what we've seen in other Lions games. I think this one will be quite low scoring. Well, it's going to be low scoring compared to most Lions games if it doesn't go over 50 points. But yeah, you've got the fourth best rushing attack in the league in the Lions against the best rushing attack in the league in the Patriots, and playing the 32nd best running defense in the league in the Lions against the Patriots, who have the 31st best rushing defense in the league. So the Patriots are obviously starting Daly Zappi. The Lions are down a couple of wide receivers. Amon Ra, if he does play, he's not going to be 100%. He's probably not going to play the full complement of snaps. So it's just going to be a run fest day. It's going to be a run fest. And it's great that we're getting the hook on the Lions, because I think it probably ends up being a field goal game. And we're getting that half point. We're getting that half point with the Lions at 3.5, which makes this very appealing. Yeah.
Hawkinson
Josh
last week, by
Reynolds.
the way.
Well, thing is, right, what the Patriots do, the Patriots, Belichick game plans to take away your best player.
Right.
Yeah. And Brown's probably not going to play. DJ Chark's out. Josh Reynolds is questionable. The only healthy receiver they've got is Hawkinson.
Right, yeah.
Belichick will game plan to take Hawkinson away this week.
Yeah.
That'll be his, and he'll be quite happy. Say, right, try and beat us on the ground with your running back. That'll be how the Patriots approach this game. So I can see Hawkinson coming right back down to earth. Like that performance that he put up last year, that's a top 10 all-time fantasy performance.
Last week
from a tight end. Yeah, top 10 all-time fantasy performance. So yeah, it was one for the ages.
And you come up against him, didn't you, in the redraft league?
I did, yeah. And that was one of the reasons why I lost. It might not have been the sole reason why I lost, but it was definitely one of the major contributing factors as to why I lost that matchup last week. Yeah. But no, I think that's what the Patriots will do. The Patriots will plan to take him away and say, right, okay, just beat us on the ground. Yeah, so I can see this being a pretty slow, low-scoring kind of game. Keep it tight. Field goal wins it. And getting getting that half point with the Lions is good.
Yeah. Okay, Seahawks versus the Saints.
I don't really have much of a feel. It's not a game that I'm going to bet
on.
Either way, on the spread, over, under, or anything like that. So Thomas is out.
I'm going to say the Saints injury list is piling up there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. On both sides of the ball. So, like, Geno Smith's been good, eh? Like, as mad as it is, like Geno's been good. But yeah, I don't really want much to do with this game from a betting perspective. But Kamara plays, you can start him. I think you start Penny. He's pretty much
Penny. I was going to ask. Obviously, Penny had a good week last week, didn't he? And I think he come out after and said that Geno just seems to trust him more. He's not making going against the play
not
call.
Switching plays at the line. Yeah. The Seahawks players didn't like Russ. But Penny's got that. He's got that lockdown, that backfield.
Yeah.
He's pretty much got all the rushing. He's even mixing in every now and again on the passing downs as well, which is grand. And he's running well. So the Saints.
So Penny's a player then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Metcalf.
Yeah, he played. Yeah.
What about
Yeah.
Lockett? So Lockett probably the borderline one, is he?
Yeah, you know, if you're looking for a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, then you start Lockett. And wouldn't expect anything more.
Yeah. I tell you what, I just got a craving for a bacon sandwich there. Oh,
What made you think of
I
that?
don't know.
Lockett.
It's got a little surge of bacon. Oh. Um. So one guy we tipped up before the start of the season was a larvae, as you like to call him.
Give yourself credit, Anthony. You tipped him up. I didn't dislike him. I liked
Yeah.
others better. But yeah, I think you liked him very much. So
Yeah. One
I'll
thing I
give
like about
yourself
him,
credit.
but and obviously you want it for a wide receiver, but he's great at catching the ball, isn't he? Some of his
What
catches,
helps?
he just looks a safe pair of hands
Yeah,
to me. I'm not sure what his stats are like. I don't know, but was watching games. He just seems when he goes up, he's coming down with it. Like I like. He's only
yeah. If the
6'1".
ball, yeah, he's only slight as well,
Yeah.
189 pounds. But no, he's done really, really well. He's
Yeah.
the Saints' number 1 wide receiver now, regardless of Michael Thomas's health. He's the main man. The passing game's going to go through him. You start him, you start Kamara, and you don't start anybody else.
Yeah. Whilst we're here, because you're more
Yeah,
fluent with this PFF, but so this week 4, so
yeah,
passing snaps 25, running snaps 16.
yeah.
So when you're looking at all this stuff, what are you looking for here then? Explain this to me for
I'm not looking at anything on there.
an idiot.
I'm not looking at anything on there.
Right, okay. Brilliant.
Yeah, that's just how many snaps they've played. But it gives you no context to how many snaps the team played or anything like that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Is there anything else on his player page?
No, I don't look at these.
Yards per reception 16. Oh, there you go. Drops
Yeah,
1. Only had 1 drop
yeah,
out of 21 receptions.
yeah. Well,
35
35
targets.
targets.
35
Yeah.
targets, yeah.
Yeah.
Receiving yards,
Yeah,
335.
that yards per reception's pretty high. It'll come down over time.
Yeah.
As he starts being used as more than just a deep threat, as he starts developing into a full, proper wide receiver, where he's running shallower routes and more of a possession receiver.
Yeah.
At the minute, he's just Jameis is just, no risk it, no biscuit, chuck it down the field, nobody comes down with it kind of guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Hence why he's got a
Ninth.
yards per reception. Yeah.
Yeah, 9th on receiving yards, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so did we cover everyone on that game there? I got
that's
a little bit excited with Alave chat and that bacon sarnie craving.
I can't help you out with bacon.
Dolphins, Jets.
Yeah, let's go that.
Oh, Jets.
Doesn't sound good. Doesn't sound good for Tyree.
Wait, just before we get onto this, so what's happened here then?
Yeah.
What's caused this? Because of
nothing. That's a PFF projection.
Right. Okay.
So
this is when the market started. This
caused.
grey line.
Yeah.
Okay.
So actually, if you go back up, that green when it's high, that's probably, if you look at the date at the bottom, that's probably projection Joe Flacco as the starter. And then when it's come back down is when Zach Wilson's been confirmed as the starter.
Right.
That'll
Okay.
be what that is. That's why their projections changed. But
Yeah, okay.
the market, because the actual market, because they didn't know who the quarterback was going to be, they didn't release the market. And so once they've found the starter out, that's why the grey line only starts then.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So
the
yeah,
market
you were talking
didn't know.
about Hill.
Yeah, it's not doesn't sound too clever for him. He picked up an injury in practice, and they've just said it's hopeful that he plays.
Right.
So I've got him in a few dynasty leagues, and I've already taken him out of my starting lineups this week. He's either going to be out or he's going to be limited. So it's a bit harder in redraft because you might not be as deep at wide receiver as what you can be in dynasty. So
Yeah.
But yeah, you might just have to lower your expectations. But we'll get more information overnight with the Schefter and rap sheet tweets. Usually pretty accurate.
What's the latest on Waddle then? Is he?
Yeah, Waddle's been playing through this injury last couple of weeks, so he'll play. Yeah, he'll play. Armstead's the main one, but he's played through this injury the last couple of weeks, so they need him in there to protect whoever's going to be the quarterback. Well, obviously we know Teddy's going to be the quarterback, so to protect Teddy.
Yeah, so we did a short on Mostert last week.
I think the Dolphins are favourites, so ideal spot for starting your running back in. Team that's favoured. And yeah, like we said there, he's getting RB1 usage. He just hasn't scored touchdowns yet. Touchdowns come, then he could have a decent week.
Yeah.
I don't think too much changes with Teddy, because obviously this offense is set up to get the ball into the hands of Waddle and Hill, close to the line of scrimmage, and let them do their work after the catch.
Yeah.
And Teddy, for all his flaws, is a pretty accurate quarterback. It's certainly thrown in the short to intermediate area. So I don't think there's going to be a huge drop off.
If Hill doesn't play, I don't know, you're not a massive fan. Does it change how you feel about Mike?
Probably not. No. Someone like Cedric Wilson will probably see an uptick in usage, and the other guy who's been popping every now and again is River Craycraft, who came over from the 49ers with Mike McDaniel. And the Trent, they've got Trent Sherfield there as well, another ex-49er. So I don't think it makes much difference to Gesicki, to be honest. I don't think this is going to be a pretty high-scoring game.
Yeah. To go on to the Jets now, it's bad news for Michael Carter, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Breece Hall all the way now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm tinkering about with some DFS lineups this week, and Hall is pretty much going to be a staple of them. So, regardless of his rushing usage, he's been used a lot in the passing game, which is obviously massive for a running back. So, and I expect that to continue. Wilson had a bit of a down week last week, not Zach, Garrett Wilson, but he'll bounce back. He's pretty much been their number one receiver, right?
Yeah.
Him and Elijah Moore, and then it hasn't really happened for Elijah Moore so far in the.
Was it Garrett Wilson that was available in AJ's league when we were looking?
It was, yeah. It was, somehow he was on waivers. I've no idea.
Yeah. So if I don't know if anyone watching, just I don't know what leagues you're in or what the standard is of the leagues, but in one of the lads who's one of our friends in his redraft league, Garrett Wilson was available. If he's there,
yeah. I mean, Juju was on waivers. I'm not a massive fan of Juju, but he should be on waivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Elijah Moore, it just hasn't happened so far for him yet. But the usage has been grand.
So if you're a Moore owner, do you play him in this game?
Well, we all Moore, don't we? And we haven't played him all season,
No.
but we
I
do
think he
have
was. I think he was
Jamal
your
Chase
selection,
and
to be
AJ
honest.
Brown. It was, wasn't it? Because we went the discussion was you wanted
Discussion.
you wanted Amon Ra, and I said we take Jalen Hurts. So, I mean, it was probably a wash, wasn't it?
Right, Falcons. Oh, look at the bloody Bucks here.
Being hammered because they've got the wide receivers back. So the Bucks are going to change now from what they have been to the start of the season. To start the year, all they've been doing is run, because they had no wide receivers. But all the wide receivers are back now, so all they're going to do now is pass. So you start Godwin, you start Evans, you start Lenny, you start Brady.
So you start all the Bucks.
No, you don't start Russell Gage and you don't start Julio Jones.
You don't start Julio. Poor Julio.
Yeah, well, him and Julio and Russell Gage have been splitting that role, and it has to be one or the other. You can't have them. You can't have them splitting the role. It's got to be one or the other, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So Brady,
So no,
Lenny, Godwin, Evans.
Yeah.
Good news for
Yeah.
Mr. Steve Wake, isn't it?
Well, considering he's got all the books, yeah.
He's got all the Bucks.
Yeah.
Probably a bit more trickier one to figure out is obviously who you start for the Falcons. Anyone?
Start Drake London. That's it.
Yeah.
Pitts is out, so it's just going to be. I mean, it's just going to be all London. It's been all London pretty much anyway. And yeah, so
the only thing I'd worry about is
he has a 33% target share and a 34% targets per route run. So I have him in our league, and I'm starting him.
Are you not concerned that kind of like the Bucks don't really have to worry about anyone else, and does that impact him?
Not really.
Not worried about it.
Not really. Teams rarely, like, people like to say, oh, the Cowboys have got no wide receivers, so all teams are going to do is, just double up and triple up on CD. Teams rarely do that. They might shadow someone over the top of them. They might shadow a safety over the top or push a safety to that side. But teams rarely go double man coverage on a player.
Yeah.
Algier will start, but it's not ideal against this Buccaneers defense. Who admittedly haven't been great to start the year, but still, it might be a bit tough sledding for him.
Yeah. In terms of longer
the
term,
good thing is right. Algier, yeah, I mean, definitely why Patterson's out. He's someone that you should definitely be stashing, picking your spots when you're starting. That's for sure.
Yeah.
The good thing for the Falcons in this game, for anyone starting any of the Falcons, especially in the passing game, is that so far they've been in pretty close games, where they've been able to run the ball a lot and kind of keep it close. It's not going to be the case in this game. The Bucks are just going to chuck it all over, run the score up, and it's going to force It's going to force the Falcons into throwing the ball.
Yeah.
So while I'm not really expecting Drake London to get in the end zone this week, great if he did, but I can see him having 10 targets, 6 receptions for 70 or 80 yards. Take your double-digit points and move on.
Yeah. I think we've got Titans, Commanders.
Yeah, this is a bet. And it's a pretty sick bet. I'm backing the Commanders in this game at 2.5. And basically, it's a play on the Commanders, the Commanders' defensive line against the Titans' O-line, which is not great. The Commanders' D-line is a top 8 unit in the league. The Titans' O-line is a bottom 5 O-line in the league. So that's the bet that I'm making.
Okay.
Is that they're going to be able to stifle the running game and stifle the passing game.
They're going to be able to stifle the king.
Yeah.
Well, that's a bold statement.
I don't know. I mean, he hasn't had a hot start, has he?
No, but the king. Sometimes it takes him 4 or 5.
Take him a while to warm up.
Yeah,
we'll see. But coming off the injury at his age, kind of want to see it now before you believe it.
Yeah. So obviously you're starting Henry, but in terms of anyone else on the Titans, then Woods, you playing him?
No, you should surely have better options than Robert Woods.
So the only one you're playing is Henry.
Yeah.
So maybe not this game, but what's the thoughts on Tannehill? If anyone's struggling for QBs, if you're in a league that
Tannehill's grand because Tannehill's is always likely to get a touchdown in.
Yeah.
He's got at least 6 rushing touchdowns every year with the Titans. So he's always liable to run a touchdown in. Teams get to the goal line and they pay too much attention to Henry and little faith in Tannehill's the opposite way and he goes. Yeah. He does. He has a bit of mobility as well, where he can actually rush and pick up yards on the ground as well. So he's not he's not laying a duck egg there.
Yeah. For the Commanders, who are you playing?
Samuel McLaurin. They're probably the only two. It looks like Logan Thomas is going to be out injured.
Is it?
Yeah, Gibson need to wait to see what's happening with Robinson, but there's a good chance Robinson's back. But Gibson's role's been reduced week over week anyway.
Yeah, and my guy's back, isn't he?
Robinson, yeah. Yeah.
For Robinson owners, it's probably just sit and wait and see, isn't it?
You're just sitting. Yeah, exactly, yeah. But Gibson was losing players last week to Jonathan Williams, I think it was.
Right.
McKissick obviously has his own role, and so yeah, Gibson's a scary start at the minute.
Yeah. I'm hoping Robinson comes in and absolutely balls out, smashes it.
We'll see. But like you say, you just got to sit him for the first couple of weeks and see where you get to.
Yeah. Texans, Jags. So we're fans of the Jags, aren't we? We like them.
Yeah, good team. Jags, good team.
What are they now? -7?
Yeah. Not touching it.
Texans. So what's
Texans start Pierce, you start Cooks.
So yeah, so for Texans, would you start Pierce? Yeah.
Yeah.
I like him.
Yeah.
What's the latest on Zay Jones for the Jags?
Zay Jones plays, which is good news
Plays.
for Christian Kirk. Yeah. It's good news for Christian Kirk. So that means Kirk goes back into the slot where he's had so much success. Last week, when he had a down week, although he was still the highest target receiver on the team in bad weather, he played more outside. He only played inside 40% of the time. So and Agnew played in the slot. Obviously, Agnew got the two touchdowns. But Zay Jones comes back, he plays outside. That means Kirk can get back into the slot, go back into his productive role that he's been in.
Yeah.
So it's good for him.
So you're playing Jones, you're playing Kirk, are you playing Etienne?
Yep. I don't know whether you play Zay Jones. You might just want to see him first game back off the injury.
Okay.
You don't need you shouldn't need to start him because he's been a waiver pickup, so you've probably got other options, you know.
Yeah.
Etienne Robinson could be in a good spot, but he's been looking all right in the box score, but his underlying numbers have been regressing every week. So I don't know whether this injury that he had is slowly catching up with him. But yeah, it's a bit of a muddle, that backfield at the minute. But for the Texans, like I say, you start Cooks, you start Pearson, nobody else, and you move on.
Yeah. Niners Panthers. Much better game from Jimmy last week, wasn't it?
Was it?
Well, yeah. Not sure in terms of fantasy, but in terms of the team, I thought he squeezed some decent passes in.
Mm-hmm.
What's caused this drift in the Panthers then?
They're not very good.
Well, just gradually got worse over the week.
You've got one of the you've got one of the worst O lines going up against the best D line, haven't you? So it's not going to be fun. The problem is that Shanahan as a favourite against the spread is horrendous, because he gets too conservative, never really blow teams out.
Right. Okay.
So they're never good at giving up, like in against a spread when they're going to give up decent points. He gets conservative, and the games are closer than what they actually like. That game against the Rams last week was ridiculously close, and it should never have been close in the month of Sundays,
Yeah.
But Shanahan gets conservative, they'll be at the 1 yard line on 4th and 1, running all over him, and he'll kick a field goal.
Kick it, yeah.
Yeah.
So Bosa's probably gonna have a field day, you reckon?
Yeah, they're all gonna have a field day.
Yeah.
It's going to be awful. If you
so
don't
obviously you have to play CMC. You're playing CMC. So anyone else is Moore a sit?
If you can afford to sit him, you sit him.
Yeah, and then I guess you're not interested in anyone else in the Panthers then.
No.
In terms of 49ers, Wilson had a decent play last week, didn't he? Touchdown.
Yeah, decent play, but his playing time's reducing. Like you can see his passing snaps there are going down because Juszczyk's playing more on third downs and in the passing game. So he's in a good spot, isn't he? He's they're favoured by almost a touchdown. He's started running back for a team that's favoured by almost for a touchdown. These are kind of running backs that you want to play. You play him, you play Debo. If you have to, you play. I suppose you got a choice between DJ Moore and Ayuk, you'd probably play Ayuk. But
yeah.
And obviously you play Kittle.
Are you not worried about? I think
he might not.
Go on.
He might not be asked to do as much blocking this week. He might be able to release out. Yeah, he might be able to release out
he's
some
just
routes this week. Yeah,
absolute
yeah.
blocking
The
machine.
Panthers, the Panthers have took a couple of hits to their pass rushing corps. Jeremy Chin, he's on IR, so Kittle might be able to run a few more routes this week rather than just being in the pass block.
Could have had a touchdown last week. He just couldn't get his feet in, could he? But
no, he couldn't. No.
So it's pretty straightforward, that one. The Rams.
The Cowboys at 5.5 here are probably a bet.
Ooh, coming from a Rams fan, eh?
The Rams are a disaster, eh? They're probably bottom 7, bottom 8 team in the league at the moment. They shouldn't be favoured by this much. Micah Parsons is good.
At one point, they were -6.5.
Yeah. Micah Parsons is going to absolutely butcher this Rams line. Yeah. This Rams line is so bad. We've got no deep threat to stretch the field. We're using a wide receiver to play fullback. It's a mess. It's a mess. So for the Rams, you start Cooper Kupp, Tyler Higbee, and nobody else. Can't start Robinson. Don't think you can start a running back. We can't run the ball. It's a bit of a mess.
Yeah. I've still got.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can start Stafford.
Yeah.
It's not a game for. It shouldn't be a game for Akers. It's contradictory what I've just said. When we spoke about Jeff Wilson, being a team that's favoured, you start the running back on. But I think this line's wrong. So I don't think you should be starting a Rams running back, although they are favoured.
Yeah. In terms of Robinson, is it? I mean, everything just goes to Kupp, doesn't it?
Yeah. It could be a squeaky wheel game, but the Rams don't have the personnel. They don't have the personnel on the O-line to be able to hold up long enough for Stafford to get to his second read. It is literally, where's Kupp? Throw the ball away. That is literally what it is. Yeah.
In terms of the Cowboys, Pollard's a bit of a head scratcher, isn't it?
Well, he looks like he's probably not going to play.
Right.
So you can start CD. You can probably start Gallup if you needed to. The wide receiver 3-4 type.
Yeah.
If you needed to after last week. Dalton Schultz, if you've got him, you probably start him.
Yeah.
He came back in last week, played a full-time role. Just for whatever reason, him and Cooper Rush don't seem to have much chemistry. But he's a full-time player running all the routes.
Yeah.
So the usage is there. We'll be more encouraged when Dak comes back.
Yeah.
But,
what's the latest on Dak? When's he due back?
Next week, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about your mate?
No. He his playing time got cut down last week once Gallup came back. Yeah. So no, I don't think he can start him now. I think he's just going to pop up every now and again, have his big games, but I think they're going to be harder to predict.
Yeah.
And I can't tell anybody to start Zeke because you shouldn't start that players.
Eagles. Eagles are the only 4-0 team now.
Are they? Might well be, yeah.
I think they are. I'm not 100%. Like there might be
Yeah,
other one somewhere.
No,
I think
there might well be.
yeah, the only 4-0.
Yeah.
Cardinals +5 on the spread.
Yeah. Tough spot because Cliff Kingsbury, don't rate him at all, but he is fantastic as an underdog at covering the spread for whatever reason.
Right.
I don't know why. I don't know whether it's on Cliff or whether it's on Kyler, where he kind of just says, "Kyler, go do something."
Right. Okay.
But yeah, you start Connor, you start Murray, start Zach Ertz, and you start Hollywood,
Yeah.
and you just keep an eye on Rondale Moore. Came back last week, first week back, played full snap share, which is very encouraging to see. The kind of usage he got wasn't, but he was used more as a outside wide receiver with AJ Green out and Greg Dortch in the slot. Where I think this week AJ Green's back, so if he plays, he can go out wide, and Rondale can go in the slot. And the usage that Greg Dortch was getting in the slot is very encouraging if you're a fan of Rondale Moore. So if he can get the same role and the same usage that Dortch could, he could be a very good pickup because he's on waivers in a lot of leagues. So he's someone just to keep an eye on.
Rondale Moore
If
was
he
on the
can
waivers.
afford, in a lot of leagues he is, yeah. If you can afford to pick him up this week and stash him and see if he does have a big game, basically getting ahead of next week's waiver run.
Yeah. Okay. In terms of the Eagles, obviously you're playing Hurts, playing AJ Brown, Devontae Smith.
Yeah, you play Devontae Smith and you play Goddard.
Got it. In terms of
and you start Miles Sanders as well, I think. Big game last week. Usage was very good. With Boston Scott out, I think Boston Scott's out again. Not 100% sure of that. What was disappointing to see was that Gainwell's usage didn't pick up with Boston Scott out last week. So Gainwell's role is what we're seeing from Gainwell now is that's pretty much what he is. And it was Miles Sanders who took on the extra rushing role. So yeah, I think you start Sanders as well. So
okay. The Bengals versus Ravens.
Bengals are a bet here. More than a field goal, 3.5 points. The Ravens are absolutely bleeding. Big plays to wide receivers, and we all know that the Bengals can hit big plays to wide receivers. This game could be an absolute shootout. Hopefully it is, because I'm staying up to watch it at 1:15 on Sunday morning. So yeah, this game could be an absolute shootout. So fingers crossed it is. But yeah, getting more than a field goal for the Bengals is definitely a bet.
What's the latest on Bateman, and is he going to be out?
Right, Bateman's out.
Out.
Which is another one that plays into this bet, because it's literally going to be the Jackson and Andrews show in the passing game.
Yeah.
Dobbins mixed in on the ground.
Yeah.
And that should allow the Bengals to keep up with their passing game.
In terms of Bengals, Higgins play, Chase obviously play. What's the thoughts on Boyd?
You probably don't, but if it is a shootout, then obviously there's always upside there for somebody else to have a big game, whether it's Boyd, whether it's Hayden Hurst. Ideally you don't have to start them, but if you do, then yeah, you can start Boyd as a wide receiver, as your fourth wide receiver.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on the Mixon
Mixon's usage has been absolutely fantastic. Mixon's production has been absolutely horrendous.
Right.
Yeah. He's had the best usage in the league of any running back, bar Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, you're right there. Look, second, 82 carries.
Yeah. But even his usage in the passing game as well. There's only McCaffrey who's had better usage. Only Barkley who's had better usage. But Mixon has been absolutely horrendous from an efficiency point of view. He's been the worst running back in the league, actually, from an efficiency point of view.
Okay.
So yes, he started because of the role that he's and the usage that he's seeing. And you kind of just have to pray that this usage, this efficiency is going to take an upturn at some point. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Because he hasn't been an efficient player in the NFL at any time in his career, but his efficiency has never been this bad. So is he just getting a bit long in the tooth now?
Yeah. And then last but not least, the Raiders versus... Oh, I'll tell you what, after Monday. Oh,
Yeah. Look at that.
Look at that. Magic.
Yeah. So for the Raiders, you start Adams, you start Waller, you start Josh Jacobs because it looks like they're trying to be a run-first team. And Jacobs is getting very good usage at the minute. Doing very well with it as well, to be fair to him. Never really been a fan of him. And I think they're the only three that you start. Renfro coming off a concussion. No Mac Hollins. No Neal, you don't start him.
Chiefs.
Obviously you start Kelsey, you start Mahomes. You can start Clyde if you need to.
Yep.
His usage hasn't been great, but his efficiency he's the polar opposite of Mixon, where he hasn't had great usage, but he's had brilliant efficiency. Where Mixon's had great usage, but shit efficiency. So it's not ideal, his usage, but he's getting it done. So if you have to start him, then you can start him.
Yeah.
Because this game has the potential to be a bit of a shootout as well.
Yeah. I think we'll get on this. I think we're going to do like a little waiver watch list. I think we might get on the Sky Moore.
Yeah. But Sky's just someone to keep an eye on. He ran his.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's move on to the waiver watch list, so we can talk about Sky.
Go on then.
Sky.
Yeah, he ran more routes last week in one game than he had the season combined. So, and when he was on the field, they made a point to get the ball or to try and get the ball to him. So again, like we spoke about Christian Watson earlier on, if you can afford the space on your bench to stash him for the next 4 to 6 weeks, and then see how it goes. See how it goes with him. Another one for the waiver watch list is Wan'Dale Robinson for the Giants. Unfortunately, he's not playing this week. Yeah, fortunately, he's not playing this week. But the Giants have just got no bodies left at wide receiver, right? Obviously, it was a second round pick for them.
Yeah.
So he's a player that they know they have to get involved. So when he does come back from his knee injury, I was hoping it was going to be this week, but it's not. When he does come back from his injury, then he is definitely somebody that they're going to make a point of emphasis to get the ball to. So stash him now before he has a breakout game when he comes back.
Yeah. So Sky Moore, Wan'Dale Robinson for check out on your waivers, or if you can get him cheap on the trade. Anyone else?
No, no one that immediately springs to mind. What about yourself?
No, like I say, you might have missed the boat on the Pierce for the Colts. That's
Yeah.
the only one. That's the only one I've done this week.
Yeah. Someone that might get dropped again, if you can afford a spot 4 to 6 weeks. Treylon Burks, obviously he's out. He's got a bit of turf toe, so he's going to be injured for
Bit of
a
turf
couple of
toe,
weeks anyway. Bit of turf toe, but if you can afford to just stash him, if you can afford that roster spot to stash him on your bench, and he does get dropped, then definitely someone you should look to pick up. But no, that's about it for anyone that immediately springs to mind.
Okay. Right. So you might move that a little bit over. And take it. So let me just put about. Look at that ugly mug. So the Fantasy Front Office Podcast League. For those of you who aren't in it and subscribed, stay subscribed. Next year you could be in it. But yeah, let me go to week 4. Who's top of the league, by the way?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Top of the league, the Fantasy Front Office team. But in
Because
terms of
we've outscored
matchups,
everyone.
yeah, in terms of matchups, the clap of the week is going to go to Ryan with his first week, with his first win.
Get up, Ryan.
Well done, Ryan.
Get in, Ryan. Well done, son.
2 seconds. Wait, brace yourself for this. Also, the worst score of the week. I'm seeing the worst score of the week. Ronco Barry. I don't know what's happened there, Barry.
He was top as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was top. Yeah,
Shat his pants.
Shit his pants. Let's have a look at his team. What's going on? I don't know what's going on here, Barry. Diggs are
Not a
probably
lot.
bit of a,
That's why he shit his pants.
Yeah, Etienne. Maybe he was just overachieving the weeks before. I don't know.
Who knows?
In terms of this week, we've got James Guy at this week, so I'm hoping we
have.
him.
We're quite fortunate that he doesn't have his second round pick this week. His second round pick's out in Dawson Knox.
Dawson. Oh, he's got CMC as well, so that's we highlighted that as a tough, probably make a tough. Well, it's CMC, isn't it? So anything can happen. But in terms of CMC, it's 1 week you want to come up against him. I think he's got Robinson, which again, we're not. Yeah, we're going to batter him, aren't we?
Not ideal.
I'm going to predict this now. We've obviously got Will Lutz there. We could just wait for us, but yeah, we're going to batter him. So that's inevitable. Let's have a look, see if there's any closer matches. TY. Yeah.
Yeah, TY's got this TY have a couple of Dolphins in his team.
He does. He has Hill and Waddle,
doesn't he? I think he's got Hill. He does Waddle, doesn't he? If Hill's healthy, two of them any time can have a good weeks together, can't they?
Yeah. So TY, if you're watching, just you need to keep an eye on Hill's injury, I guess. And he's got
Yeah.
Giziki as well. Gone Dolphins heavy.
Yeah, very heavy. Very heavy.
But yeah, there's been no trades. There's hardly been any trades since we started really, and there's no been any massive waiver wire pickups or whatever else. So yeah, we're
Not
playing
yet,
bottom
no.
of the league. We're playing
Not
bottom
yet.
of the league. So yeah, we're gonna batter him this week. Cement our place.
Well, let's hope so. Otherwise, it's quite embarrassing, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, like, share, and subscribe, and you could be involved next year. It's absolutely thrilling.
Yes, please.
And then our final segment. To be fair, he's give you quite a few bets. So what's your banker of the week, Mr. Bland?
The Lions plus 3.5. Lions plus 3.5 points.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Why?
Keep it close. Two good teams against two bad defenses. Bailey Zapp starting for the Patriots. Close game. Either side can win it by a field goal. Patriots win it by a field goal. We get the 3.5 points. Get the hook for the Lions. So that's why.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell as an underdog is 14-6 as an underdog against the spread. So we've all watched Hard Knocks. We all know how good he is at motivating his team. So you can see why he has a good record as an underdog.
Yeah. Okay, mate. I think that's us done.
Yeah. Very good.
Have a nice Saturday.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you. Speak to you tomorrow, yeah.
Okay, mate. Take care. Peace out. Thanks
Take
for watching.
it easy. Ciao, ciao.
See ya.